All right, so we are back with another rippaverse video of this guy who, for record of clarity, he claims he is a libertarian. Just keep that in mind going
I mean,
forward.
there's certainly a lot of libertarians who probably would fail a libertarian test.
Oh, I've seen plenty of arguments with this guy involving, the tenets of libertarianism, and he disagrees with them bafflingly enough. It's kind of amazing, honestly.
Still, so much time has passed. We're going into year four, and Anthony Fauci's rat is not under the prison for all
For
the lies
what?
that he sold
What lies?
America. And
What
here we are.
America?
Now, we know that Rand Paul has been the one congressman that's been on his ass, right?
Again,
Insane.
let's just get that out there. Rand Paul is fucking deranged. Moving on.
And
He is.
he had
Yeah,
some
He
interesting
is what's
things to
wrong
say.
with our
There's a
Congress
subcommittee
he is.
and our country.
right now that is that
Yeah.
Rand Paul, I believe that's what it is, subcommittee that is kind of in charge of trying to get to the bottom of a lot of what happened during these crazy years. Now let's look at this real quick. And I'm gonna watch the video actually first, and then we'll kind of go into some of these things. Let's look.
Yes, the video from Fox News, the most unbiased of sources. Because that's what I think. Let's get good quality news. I think
Woke!
Fox News. Wow.
Let's listen in on it.
Anthony Fauci has some of the most famous sparring sessions over the last few years. Now you're going to go behind closed doors. He has to go behind closed doors in front of your committee. What is your question? What are some things that you want answers to?
Woke.
You know, the biggest lie from Anthony Fauci was that the United States government, and with his approval, did not fund gain-of-function research in Wuhan. We now have the Department of Energy,
What?
the FBI, and actually a group of scientists at the CIA all agree that in all.
Did he just say a group of scientists at the CIA? Like, did I hear that right?
What did you think you heard?
A group of scientists at the CIA. I don't even know what that sentence means. I immediately don't care what this man has to say any longer.
Likelihood COVID-19 came from a lab in
Yeah.
Wuhan that was funded by U.S. taxpayer dollars. Anthony Fauci has continued to deny this, and I believe that to be a lie, and I hope he's challenged on that. But he also is even worse than lying about funding it. There's supposed to be a safety committee that's supposed to review dangerous research on this. It was set up in 2017 when they began funding this dangerous research at the behest of Anthony Fauci, who's always been in favor of gain-of-function research. When they began funding it again, they set up a safety committee. Well, guess what? This research in Wuhan skipped that safety committee. They never went there, and the only way that happens is with Anthony Fauci's approval. I've been trying for 3 years to get the NIH to reveal the gain-of-function deliberations. I know they talk about it. I know they have a weekly meeting on dangerous research, and yet
By the way, so that pretty much ended it, and what the article here by the New York Post actually goes
It's
into
just asking
is
questions that are
how
completely loaded that have no
surprised
actual backing behind them, while just saying, well, scientists have said that,
he is that,
in
let's
some
say,
circles,
Fauci
Fauci's
doesn't
bad man.
recall
So he's bad
some of
man.
the early days of the of.
Like, what I like is these people just ignore the fact that Fauci is, the leading authority figure in the world on pandemics. Point blank.
He's got degrees, experience.
He
And
does. And
let's not gloss over the fact as well that Donald Trump, the president,
yeah,
basically fired all the people that dealt with these kind of diseases, the
yeah.
people that keep us abreast of these situations and have expertise and how to handle it. This man's basically a doctor who has to also in turn be a politician and a spokesperson
And
because of his position.
and he got hamstringed by the president while the president was saying to do things like get hydroxychloroquine, which, doesn't do anything, or drink bleach, or, UV rays, or whatever
and
the hell
just
else he was
and just
saying.
go out and kind of like Boris Johnson initially said, just go out, we'll beat it. It's like how you trying to be Churchillian, but viruses don't give a fuck.
Right? Like, Yeah, these people don't understand science and act like they do.
of COVID, right? The same time frame where he was saying that flip flop obviously on the mass situation, and if you
Yeah, because science changes, dude. When we're literally in the forefront of discovering a new virus, we're discovering how it works. Just because we think one thing might stop it, it may be proven ineffectively. Things change down the road. That's the point of testing hypotheses in science and seeing what happens. If you ever took a proper science class and paid attention, you would understand that. But you're too busy not paying attention.
look at his attitude at the before it really, uh, I don't know, became maybe politically advantageous, to say the opposite. He was saying the opposite of what we know Anthony Fauci's positions to be. Now, with this whole gain of function thing that Rand is talking about, for those of you that don't know what it is, it sounds like literally what it
First
sounds
name
like, and
basis.
it's this idea
Right?
that they're doing research to, in some cases, improve the lethality of or viability, or that's not the proper term, or more how infectious, let's say, something is. That's the whole point of the research, right? Which is why it's very, very dangerous, especially if that stuff, let's say, gets out. You're going to research something and you made it more lethal, and then that got out and infected a bunch of people, and I don't know, something crazy.
And again, where's this narrative that like he's just inventing where it's like, oh, you made this more deadly. We know you did. If we know that, then show the data right now. The fact that you don't show any of these studies, any of these alleged, sources on this makes me doubt that any of this is real.
Yeah. Now, again, we know that the COVID-19 stuff was largely a sham. A lot of you guys
What do you mean it was largely a sham? It existed, my guy. Can we at least agree on that much? And that a lot of
Killed
people
my
died,
grandpa.
right? Like a lot of people
Killed my
died from
grandpa.
this. Yeah, like your grandpa died
A lot
because
of
of this
people were in
fucking
the
thing.
hospital.
A lot of people are still in hospitals with this thing. Like, I don't understand this. Well, it was basically nothing. No, it wasn't basically nothing. It killed millions of people. The only reason it wasn't worse was because we were able to develop a fucking cure.
There are people I know who have there are people I know who have permanent breathing issues and can't
Oh,
work
there's
because
there's
of
someone that
this.
my parents know that can't work not because of breathing issues, but because it triggers constant pressure headaches in them, and they can't have a single moment they're not in constant agony thanks to COVID-19.
And the fact that our government, our president, decided, well, we're not going to worry about this. Mind you, a
Right.
lot of the world did do the same initially, but he kept uh,
His
you know
head buried in the
dialing he
sand.
kept dialing it up.
Yeah.
Well, not just that,
came
just
to my
kept saying, go out and spend money.
Oh yeah, it was just like, no, go out, be fine. It herd immunity, herd immunity. It's like that's not how any of this works.
videos by way of discussing that. But Anthony Fauci is, I don't want to depress people, but one thing I can say is this:
Oh, I bet you're gonna say something
Anthony
stupid.
Fauci is, I see him as a criminal for sure, but the fact that he was able, or is able, and it's really he shielded not just by necessarily the NIH, but more so just working for the government, and I guess that's what it allows you to do. It allows you to sell people on an absolute lie that people are clinging to, right? And I think
And again, I like how they never address what lies he allegedly sold people on. It's like, what lies that this was deadly because it was, and that it was a pandemic because it was, and that it required, special circumstances to take care of because it did. Like, I don't understand what
And
alleged lies.
he was definitely upfront with how dangerous this was.
Yet everyone else around him was downplaying it until it was too late and they realized he was, go figure, right.
When other countries figured out what was going on and took
Yeah,
action, we didn't. And he was the only one that was really saying we should.
yeah.
that's what this is, sort of plausible not deniability that he I believe thinks he can cling on to, and that is that because he's not necessarily in a position to demand or mandate that people do something which may destroy people's livelihoods, uh, it was still under his advice.
Would you rather destroy their livelihoods but have the vast majority of the human race survive, or would you just rather people die off like flies and, have society collapse? I go with the one that, yeah, may not be the most best for everyone in the long run, but hey, we got through it, as opposed to letting society just collapse because everyone's dying.
People were listening to you and your recommendations as they
No, they were listening to Trump and his dumbass recommendations, which was the problem. The guy that y'all voted for, who
They
wanted to put
definitely
in
were.
office, who did all of this shit, who made it so much worse than it had to be. That was all on you and your guys. Stop trying to put it on Fauci when he was telling us to do the mask mandates, to stop going outside, to rethink all this, and to get vaccinated.
went and did that, and you sold people on what is a sham, and the fact again that the man isn't under the prison still after all of this says a lot.
Yikes. Yeah. Again, people they love to blame other people for when they tell you what's wrong and what you're doing wrong, and they just can't handle this. They want to find any reason for him to be at fault for this.
Yeah, they don't want to face the fact that they themselves killed all those people
No,
by
it's kind of,
inaction
it's bullshit. It
and through
really
pride.
is.
Yeah,
And like they now want to keep pointing fingers like, well, it was everyone else's fault. Like I was right. No, you were never right. Never at any point during this pandemic were you right. You were constantly wrong.
I mean,
Like,
Fauci is a doctor. He's a professional. He's studied this. He knows it.
right? Like this was his wheelhouse,
And
and we ignored him. We fucked up.
mhm, you have to admit it.
Yeah, yeah. Y'all stay safe out there. You hear? This was another fun one.
And get vaccinated. Don't listen to the mad people. The vaccines do help. We don't need polio back. That's for sure.
No, and we don't want viruses to mutate. Just get the vaccines and do your part for herd immunity.